It's so fun when people. Why is it so fun when people get pretentious? I guess because you're terrified that you would ever do it. Are they even like technically actually in space?
Space. Wendy posted, Wendy's, the fast food chain.
Yeah.
Can we send her back?
Oh, this one.
Katy Perry just had the meltdown of the century, and it's all because Joe Rogan clowned her space trip on his podcast like it was an overhyped theme park ride. So here's the wild part. Katy floated for 11 minutes in Jeff Bezos' mega-priced space capsule, aka Blue Origin, and suddenly it's being treated like she walked on the moon. The moment she touched back down, this girl hit the ground like she just survived a sci-fi apocalypse, literally kissed the dirt like she'd been gone for years. And yeah, this all sounds like a parody, but it's real. According to her camp, this wasn't just a ride. It was a life-changing, emotional, barrier-breaking moment.
I will never be the same. I mean, when you get up there and you see the Earth, and it's so beautiful.
They're calling it a spiritual awakening. In under 15 minutes, in Bezos' flying soda can, no joke. When she landed, she acted like she just had brunch with aliens, dropping to her knees in Texas dust like she just escaped a black hole.
Their task included practicing how to get into and out of the New Shepard capsule.
The dramatics? Off the charts. You'd swear she led the first mission to Mars, and wait for it. Katy told the press this was the second most powerful experience of her entire life, right after having a baby. Not her record-breaking music career, not performing at the Super Bowl, nope. It was this 11-minute float above Earth that changed everything. And let's be real, every second of it was perfectly curated. The camera angles, cinematic, the statements, sounded straight out of a marketing playbook. This wasn't just a trip, it was a PR masterpiece dressed up as a space odyssey. But yo, here's where it gets even crazier. Katy wasn't flying solo in that glorified soda can. Nah, she was joined by Gayle King and Lauren Sanchez, yes, Bezos' fiance, like it was some high-class bachelorette party in space. They straight up branded it as a historic all-female mission, but let's be real, it looked more like an orbiting girl boss brunch.
This is a way to get a lot of media and attention and hype, putting famous people with perfect hair like up in space for 2 minutes.
All that empowered women empowering women energy, cool in theory, but this, it felt more like rich women playing astronaut while spinning in zero gravity with highlighter on their cheekbones. And get this, Katy brought a daisy with her. Yeah, a flower. She said it symbolized resilience. Like the cosmos needed her to sprinkle some poetic vibes across the galaxy in designer boots and a custom spacesuit. But here's the punchline. Nothing happened. No science experiments, no technical feats, not even a decent selfie from orbit. It was literally just a billionaire-backed elevator ride to the edge of space and back. But Katy came back acting like she cracked the code to world peace. She went full TED Talk on us, talking about Earth, love, inner peace, like she had a revelation while floating in luxury for 10 minutes. Girl, that's not a breakthrough. That's a branding exercise in a vacuum. And social media instantly called it out. Folks weren't moved, they were annoyed. The whole thing flopped harder than her last 2 albums combined.
Cosplay women today that did something for 10 minutes was not impressive. Please stop calling them astronauts. This is so insulting to the brave men and women that train for spaceflight.
The memes? Savage. People dragged the dramatic dirt kiss, the flower stunt, everything. And then Joe Rogan stepped in and completely roasted it like it was a stand-up routine, called the whole thing what it was. A ridiculous space-themed photo shoot dressed up as a feminist milestone.
62 miles.
Kilometers.
Okay, 62 miles ain't shit, dude. I drive that in an hour.
Let's be real. This had nothing to do with science, exploration, or uplifting women in STEM. This was Katy Perry trying to pull off a zero-gravity rebrand, hoping that if she floated high enough, folks would forget her music hasn't charted in forever, and that the only time she trends lately is when she's dressed like a talking mushroom on primetime TV. She wasn't aiming for the stars. She was gunning for a comeback. But instead of a redemption arc, she walked away with a full-blown cringe reel that's now living rent-free on meme pages. And then Joe Rogan entered the chat. He didn't just comment, he dismantled it. Calm, surgical. It was like watching someone cut through a cake labeled delusional, layer by layer, right there next to Tim Dillon. No yelling, just that icy kind of disbelief you can't fake.
You are officially an astronaut. Thank you so much. How do you feel?
Then came the question, one that blew the glitter right off the PR stunt. What were her findings? Joe hit that point with the focus of a guy who survived one too many fake deep TED Talks. And when he brought up the daisy, he didn't hold back. He called it what it was, a dead flower clipped and lifeless. Not resilience, not rebirth, just wilted symbolism, awkwardly clutched by a pop star pretending she just cracked the space code. And the coldest part, Joe didn't even need to say the word cosplay. His face said it all. The comparison was brutal. Real astronauts go through years of hardcore training, risk their lives, handle complex machines, and know every mission could be their last. Katy? She floated in Bezos's capsule like it was an influencer retreat. Katy didn't pilot anything. She floated around in a luxury pod running on autopilot, smooth as an Amazon Prime delivery. No buttons pushed, no systems controlled. Just some high-end seatbelts, camera angles, and a sprinkle of spiritual awakening for the brand deal. And the part that really stung? Joe Rogan wasn't even mad, he was straight up confused, like genuinely puzzled at how billionaires and washed-up celebs can repackage a luxury ride as some groundbreaking feminist moment. What made it worse? He wasn't being cruel, he was just right. It's not the shade that cuts deep, it's the truth behind it that hurts the most. But hold up, it didn't stop there. Just when the memes started popping off and the internet was having a field day roasting the whole space soap opera, the FAA pulled up with the receipts. They shut it all down. Straight facts, no feelings. Katy Perry is not an astronaut. Neither is Gayle King. And definitely not Lauren Sanchez. The FAA made it official. To earn that title, you've got to do something up there, like actually perform safety-critical tasks, not vibe in zero gravity while someone films your emotional journey. That statement, cold, no fluff, no drama, just truth. And with that, the whole glittery girl boss space narrative crumbled. All those empowerment speeches, post-flight sob stories, and cosmic metaphors, invalid. Because in the end, the rocket flew itself. They didn't command anything, they were just passengers in a PR stunt wrapped in hashtags, and now the internet knows. And it did not hold back. Savage mode activated.
Not just people like you and me, but like Hollywood leftists. These are the people who are supposed to love them, who are ripping these women to shreds.
The second that FAA statement hit, folks online pounced hard. The whole Space Queen empowerment fantasy, torn to shreds. Instead of taking up space, people were calling it what it really was, taking up screen time. Katy called them her astronaut sisters, like they trained in Houston and cracked quantum equations. Please, they got glammed up, floated for a few minutes, and posed for capsule selfies like it was a zero-gravity spa day for billionaires. Here's the truth. Astronaut ain't just a cute caption. It means something. It's earned through blood, sweat, and straight-up risk. It's not about floating in designer boots while holding a flower. It's about real sacrifice, science, and pressure most people couldn't even imagine. So when the FAA stepped in and dropped that technical definition, it wasn't just a bureaucratic update, it was a mic drop. If everyone gets to wear the title, then it stops meaning anything. And Katy Perry borrowing that label without doing the work, that didn't uplift anyone, it insulted everyone. The backlash was instant. Comment sections erupted with roast after roast. Folks were calling the crew space tourists in Gucci. One person compared the whole thing to Disney's Soarin' ride, just with better lighting and way more hashtags. Others crowned Katy as the world's first zero-G influencer, floating for clout instead of science. And no matter how many teary-eyed interviews or long-winded captions came after, back when it was too late, the internet had already made up its mind. Nobody was buying the whole space pioneer fairy tale anymore. You can't fake legacy, and you definitely can't earn it riding passenger in a remote-controlled billionaire capsule. Blue Origin didn't launch her comeback. It launched it straight into the fire. The backlash? It wasn't planned. It was instinct. The internet collectively took one look at the glitter, the staged space poses, the zero-gravity hair flips, and said, nah, we're not playing this game today. And then it happened. One savage tweet, 4 words, that changed the whole vibe of the mission, courtesy of Wendy's official account. Can we send her?
Wendy posted, Wendy's, the fast food chain. Yeah. Can we send her back?
Oh! That wasn't just a roast. That was a cultural assassination. A red-haired burger mascot bodied Katy Perry's entire astronaut era in under 5 seconds. After that, the memes took off. Her dirt-kissing photo got slapped into war zone edits, alien abduction posters, even reality show reaction shots. The internet had zero chill, and then there was the real killer, astronaut girly friends. It turned into a meme genre overnight. People started using it to describe literally anything.
And what they were expecting was for us to admire the fact that they were rich enough and famous enough.
Girls in matching outfits, sipping lattes, taking selfies, shopping at Target. Katy's empowering tagline became a punchline for rich girl delusion wrapped in PR sparkle. Then Amy Schumer jumped in out of nowhere like a sniper with A+ comedic timing. She posted a fake update saying she got added to the space crew last minute. Just happened to have a spacesuit in her purse. It was clearly satire, but that's why it hit so hard. The joke landed because it felt just real enough to be believable.
Look at us, we're very wealthy. Don't we look great? Admire us.
That's how unserious the whole mission looked to the public. If people even paused for a second to wonder if Amy Schumer actually went to space, then yeah. Katy's space saga wasn't a breakthrough. It was a meme-worthy misfire. People went in. The internet started cutting together savage montages of Katy floating in that capsule, giving deep monologues about Earth, motherhood, and the meaning of life, spliced with voiceovers from reality shows and mockumentaries. The one that really stuck? A remix where they stripped out all her audio and replaced it with people flexing about getting into VIP clubs. I just feel so connected to the cosmos right now. Turned into, we skipped the line, they know me at the door. Brutal. Another viral banger. Just a black screen with the caption, the only thing orbiting Earth was their egos. No visuals, no edits, just pure fact.
I'm still stuck on the fact that Gayle King actually used the word astronauts in reference to we're just like an actual astronaut.
That alone had comment sections detonating. But the internet wasn't finished. Because out of nowhere, Martha Stewart stepped into the ring. No glitter, no drama, no daisy metaphors, just one quiet, elegant post. A throwback clip from 2007, her casually floating in a zero-gravity flight. No fanfare, just the caption, "Been there?" Simple, deadly. It wasn't shade, it was a tactical airstrike. The kind that doesn't need volume, just icon-level precision. The internet lost it. Martha didn't talk about spiritual awakenings. She didn't cry on camera. She didn't act like she discovered the meaning of life at 100,000 feet. She floated, smiled, landed, moved on. No astronaut era, no PR campaign, just vibes. And that's what made her post hit so hard. It was cool without trying, a masterclass in flexing without flexing. When you put that next to Katy's full-blown branding blitz around a space trip that barely broke the atmosphere, the contrast was lethal. It was devastating. Users took Martha's chill 0G clip and started reposting it with captions like, "Glamour isn't innovation," and "She did it better 17 years ago." Just like that, the whole influencer space explorer fantasy crumbled like space dust.
Please don't call it a ride. That is not a friggin' ride.
What Katy tried to frame as transformative, the internet reframed it as theatrical. The daisy, appropriadad, the monologues, over-scripted, the making space tagline felt less like a milestone and more like an ad campaign disguised as a movement. And when you stacked her billion-dollar rollout against Martha's old-school float session, the contrast hit like a comet. Martha's vibe? Effortless. No sob story. No intergalactic metaphors. Just her, floating and not flexing. That one recycled clip, it obliterated an entire branding campaign, and then the memes mutated again. Someone photoshopped Katy's face onto a Disney astronaut doll box. Another used AI to drop fake headlines like, "Katy Perry discovers Earth is round, cries tears of stardust." It didn't matter how expensive the mission was or how many emotional speeches hit the press. Katy had already been rebranded, not as a pioneer, not as a feminist icon, but as the mascot of overproduced space tourism. And Martha? One throwback, no effort, final boss of the clapback. No one orchestrated this, no secret campaign. It was just the internet doing what it does best, sniffing out the performative and dragging it into meme history. The more Katy preached about unity and transformation, the louder the internet turned up the comedy. Each headline about the Blue Origin trip became fuel for another round of parody. The mission ended in 11 minutes, but the mockery, that one's still orbiting, because once you become the meme, you don't get to choose your orbit. The internet decides where you land, and it usually ain't soft. So when Lauren Sanchez floated through Blue Origin's capsule and earnestly said, "We're all in this together," something broke online. And not in an inspirational way. In a, did she really just say that?
What are they gonna do up there that has made it better for us down here?
Those 6 words, "we're all in this together," got screenshot into oblivion. Meme pages lit up. People were throwing captions on it like, "Meanwhile, I'm splitting rent 3 ways and eating microwave noodles." The disconnect was unreal. Viewers had just watched Katy Perry cry over a daisy, Gayle King give a space sermon, and now they were being told they were spiritually part of the mission too. Like standing in line at the food bank was the same as catching a billionaire rocket for an 11-minute confidence boost? Nah, this wasn't just out of touch. It was delusional, wrapped in a carbon fiber capsule. Lauren Sanchez, partner of one of the wealthiest men on the planet, talking about unity from a luxury pod while people on Earth are refreshing gas prices and skipping groceries. The contrast was insane. The timing, even worse. It wasn't just tone deaf, it was radioactive. And that's why it exploded online. Because this wasn't just another awkward celebrity moment. This was the perfect example of how performative activism can implode under the weight of its own fake relatability. And once the internet clocked it, there was no return flight, because when Lauren Sanchez said, "We're all in this together," it didn't land as noble, it landed like a slap. It didn't sound like unity. It sounded like a billionaire whispering from a space pod while the rest of the world's stuck in traffic, wondering if eggs are gonna cost more this week.
She's mocking them, very heartily mocking them. Kesha mocked them. I mean, like, that's what gets them upset.
In that moment, space travel stopped being about wonder or science. It became a symbol of elite escape, a luxury liftoff masked as empowerment, a soft-focused version of heroism where you never have to get your hands dirty. Just float, pose, monologue about healing, and collect likes from the stratosphere. And the harder they pushed the message, the louder the backlash got. Because when the packaging is louder than the purpose, people clock it instantly. That shiny feminist narrative, it didn't just crumble, it exposed itself. Critics gave it a name: feminism, a mix of feminism and fantasy, where the goal isn't real change, it's curated applause. Not about breaking ceilings, but breaking Instagram engagement records. Throw on a suit, float for 11 minutes, cry on camera. Boom, you're suddenly a space icon, even if you didn't actually do anything. And it wasn't just randos in the comments calling it out. Women in STEM, education, engineering, real experts were frustrated, not bitter. They weren't mad about the attention. They were mad that while they're fighting tooth and nail for funding, visibility, and representation, this capsule crew was floating in billion-dollar selfies, acting like it was the same thing. Katy's poetic one-liners about Earth, space, and emotional healing, they didn't feel raw. They felt rehearsed, like they'd been tested on a press tour, not lived through. Even the media coverage missed the point. Fashion sites broke down her look like it was Met Gala, Zero Gravity Edition. Headlines praised how her suit matched her daisy and complemented her skin tone. Great if this was a photo shoot. But the moment you call it feminist history, the standard changes. And what the public saw wasn't a revolution, it was a rebrand. It wasn't a milestone, it was a rebrand. Space travel got turned into a runway. Feminism got filtered through designer boots and scripted sound bites. And the public? They weren't buying a single second of it. This flight was supposed to signal progress, but all it did was highlight the gap. The massive unspoken distance between women out here grinding in silence, fighting for funding, equity, respect, and women who float in a luxury capsule for 10 minutes, then land to standing ovations like they just changed the world. That contrast didn't empower. It alienated.
What are you giving back? What they are giving back is their celebrity, the right for us to admire them.
What did this mission actually accomplish? Besides memes, mockery, and the world's most expensive influencer reel? We'll let you decide. Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's see who roasts it best.